Every morning when I wake up, I do a few different things. I first contemplate all the beautiful intricacies of life and nature, and then I open up LinkedIn to begin optimizing my connections and growing my network. Your network is your net worth, after all. One day or day one. But as I was browsing LinkedIn, which is something I'm sure we all do every day, I came across this Games tab. Turns out that LinkedIn has its own little line of bite-sized puzzle games like Sudoku, or Patches, or Zip. And seeing this really got me thinking about just how many daily puzzle games exist nowadays. Because you've got all the New York Times games, but then also dozens of other companies and news outlets who have taken it upon themselves to create their own line of little puzzle games. Little guys. This is what I'm calling corporate Puzzleslop. I've never really been a wordler or a daily waffler, but it's never too late to change your life. So I decided that I was gonna start playing these little puzzle games. But not for fun or recreation, obviously, that's not what I'm about, but because I wanted to study the broader game design principles behind these games and analyze them, with the end goal of making my very own top-of-the-line corporate Puzzleslop experience. Which I sure did, and I'll show you that later. But first I had to do some serious investigating about what these puzzle games were all about. So I did what any good researcher would do, and I went and played as many puzzle games as I could possibly find. It was great, and I did that every day for a month straight. Wordle, Contexto, the crossword, Sudoku, Minute Cryptic, Spelling Bee, Strands, and of course the entire roster of LinkedIn games, including Queens, Tango, Patches, Zip, Cross Climb, Pinpoint, and unfortunately Sudoku, once again. Those are the games that I decided to dedicate myself to for an entire month. This was truly a bizarre month in my life, because not only was I spending probably 45 minutes to an hour every day on these little games, but I was actually doing all of it in Italy, because I was studying abroad for a university program. I was truly the epitome of an American tourist whipping out LinkedIn at 9 a.m. in the middle of Florence. I got to climb to the tallest point in the whole area, the best view from all of Florence. But you'd be a fool to think that that would distract me from my priorities. It didn't matter where I was, my eye was always on the prize. Because this place is beautiful, but have I done my Zip today? What about my Sudoku? Did I remember to do Sudoku yesterday? These people have no idea that I'm literally #1 on the Patches leaderboard right now. Everybody wants to be me. Can't believe I had to use 2 hints yesterday. It's really ruining my vibe right now. I wish I had Wi-Fi out here or something, so I could at least do my daily cryptic. Weirdly enough, playing these games kind of filled the gap that I would have spent just scrolling on my phone, because instead of waking up and immediately checking my messages or Instagram, I was opening up my laptop to have a better view of the New York Times spelling bee. And I really did have to start knocking these things out in the morning because I was taking a full credit class as I was exploring Italy. So this is my apartment that I have in Florence. This is my my bed. That's where I immediately start wordling in the morning. Honestly, not a bad setup, but I usually wait there. I do my word games before I get out of bed, before I have breakfast. So I'll do like my crosswords and my wordle there. Then I go and I open my curtain, which has a really nice view. It's very European. Lots of windows, lots of plants. And then down here, this is where I sit every morning before class. I always make myself some toast with this stuff. It's strawberry jam. And then as I'm eating, I'll do another puzzle game. So by the time I go to class, I've had like 4 games down for the day. So yeah, that's been my morning routine. And then I go to class, and then there's usually a train right in there, so that's where I'm able to knock out some more. And then I come back, and then by the time I go to bed, I can do some more and finish it and wrap it all up. Just like that, I found myself in a lovely little routine of challenging myself with these puzzle games. And when I say challenging, I do unfortunately mean challenging. These games are not built equally, which it turns out has a direct correlation to how much I enjoy the game. I'm a simple creature, and I like to feel successful, so something like the Minute Cryptic was not really up my wheelhouse. This game is by far the hardest one that I signed up for, and if I'm being completely honest, I cut my losses by day 3 and I just removed it from the list. This is a cryptic crossword game, so you'll get a clue like this, and then there's one word for the answer. So if you have the sentence, golf lessons beginning in month 6 for Tiger Woods, ? The answer is jungle. Oh, where do you get that answer from, you ask? Well, the word beginning after the word lessons means that we need to look at the beginning of the word lessons, so we get the letter L. If we put the letter L inside of month 6, being June, we get the word junul. And then the letter G comes from golf, because golf is the letter G in the phonetic alphabet. So from that, we get the word jungle. There's a reason why this game gives you a 5-part tutorial series to just teach you what you should be sometimes looking for. Because sometimes you'll reverse the words, you'll add letters to them, you'll anagram them. There's so many possible things you could be manipulating these words to be. I have a lot of friends who are into this game, but I just don't really like it. When you're on that absolute grind like I am, and you're on your 8th puzzle game of the day, it does start to take a toll. But this game is an interesting middle ground between objective and subjective puzzle design. Some puzzles, like Sudoku, for example, they always have a reliably correct answer. You can trust that if you follow the set of rules that it gives you, you will arrive at the right answer. And it's satisfying because if you're not getting there, you know that it's only your fault. It's a genuine skill issue. But then there are games like the crossword, which are put together by humans with their own biases and word associations. A clue in a crossword might be obvious to the person who made it, but not to you. I genuinely don't know any of these. Now, the Minute Cryptic is unique because it's a combination of these two styles of puzzle design. There are certainly subjective design choices in this puzzle that might not come to everybody, but there are also set rules in the structure of how these clues are made that do point you along in a consistent direction. Usually in video game design, this is the ideal state that you want to put the player in. If there's a boss fight, for example, the player should feel like if they die, it's their fault. It should never be an unfair hitbox or lag or something that's just out of the player's control. But at the same time, there should be some freedom around how the player can approach the boss fight. Maybe there's various weapons or abilities that you can use. You can try to kill it quickly and aggressively, or go slow and passionately. A good boss fight will kill you and make it obvious why you died, and then maybe next time you go in with a new perspective and a new strategy. This is admittedly how the Minute Cryptic feels to play, because once you're given some clues or the right answer, you can understand how you were meant to get there. Even if it is a bit subjective, there is a true path. And the more you practice at puzzles like these, the better you will get at them. I just didn't really have it in me to do that on this one. I was too focused thinking about today's sponsor, Xsolla. That's a fun name, isn't it? If you're making a game, or you're a part of a studio making a game, it's probably gonna get overwhelming at some point, especially when you go to sell it or sell things in the game. Because now you're dealing with payment processing, storefront setup, global distribution, tax compliance in a bunch of different countries, and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I just wanted to make a game. Well, that's what Xsolla is for, particularly the Xsolla web shop. It lets you launch your own branded storefront in minutes with no code required and no integration cost. You sell directly to your players, you skip major platform fees, and it scales. No matter what your game's genre, your audience, your live ops situation, your web shop's gonna adapt for a long time. Xsolla's launched over 700 web shops globally, and they're seeing a 60% repeat purchase rate, which is pretty crazy. Xsolla has helped over 1,500 developers reach more players and grow their revenue, and you could be one of them. Whether you're an indie dev trying to self-publish or a bigger studio trying to own more of your revenue, check out Xsolla's web shop today by visiting the link in the description. Thank you, Xsolla, for sponsoring. Now, let me ask you a question. What do the words crypto, decaf, Disney, and Prussian have in common? Well, if you were a pro, like me, you'd know that all of these words end with homophones for parts of the leg. Toe, calf, knee, and shin. That is a glimpse into what it's like to experience the New York Times Connections game. You're given a bunch of words and they're all sorted into different categories, and your job is to figure out what those categories are. And don't worry, the categories are always fantastic and make perfectly logical sense. Just like everyone always mutually agrees. If Sudoku is on one end of the extreme as a puzzle that always has a reliably correct answer, New York Times Connections is so far off the other end of the spectrum, it's not even on the screen. But that said, this was one of my favorite puzzles to play every day for a month, and I think part of that is because it was so subjective. Learning to get good at Sudoku means becoming better at Sudoku. But learning to get good at the New York Times Connections means becoming better at how connections designers think. It's very meta, and that's the same line of thinking that's actually led me to enjoy video games a lot more. When you're trying to get past a puzzle or like a certain area in a game, asking yourself what you would do if you were the developer usually gives you a cool perspective on the game, and it helps you get past whatever obstacle you're at. Like, if I designed this level in Portal, what would my goal be in teaching the player at this point in the game? What sort of tools am I wanting them to use, given previous levels, and what common threads tie together the solutions to the puzzles that I've seen so far. There's always a pattern to be cracked when you realize that level designers or game designers have their own style, the same way that connections writers do. And the farther you are in a game, the more exposure you've had to their preferences and their design choices, whether that's a puzzle in Portal or a crossword with some arbitrary, vague clue. At the end of the day, it's always people behind these games with their own biases and word associations and flaws. Well, at least for now, it's people behind the games. I'm relatively confident that the New York Times games aren't made by AI because they put out this whole series on how puzzle designers make the daily crossword or whatever. It's actually very interesting, and it gives you a lot of insight about the world of puzzle making. Another one of those things that would have been cool to know was an option as a kid. But then there's games like the LinkedIn games. And I don't know, man. Whenever I see emojis being used in a game, it's a bit of a red flag. I've done game dev enough and been surrounded by so many peers in my game dev classes at my university that I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on what an AI-generated game looks like and feels like. It's always emojis, like a typewriter font, super centered UI, gradient buttons. There's just a look to it, there's a feel to it. The same way that I feel like I can always spot an AI-generated Instagram caption, or an AI-written post on LinkedIn, because this platform is unfortunately becoming a cesspool of bots replying to very clearly bot-written posts. And they use so many words to say absolutely nothing. Because guys, I'm thrilled to announce that I've recently begun leveraging the LinkedIn Games ecosystem as a part of my broader personal growth. Every morning, I'm optimizing mission-critical competencies in pattern recognition, agile decision-making, and scalable puzzle-based innovation in a solutions-oriented environment. I'm proud to be in the top 15% of Tango and Zip players worldwide, and I'm actively looking to expand my synergies. Hashtag buzzword, hashtag thought leader, hashtag big. And 18 people gave my post a thumbs up. Posts like those are unfortunately everywhere on LinkedIn, but on the bright side, I can confirm that the puzzles are made by human beings. There's actually a principal puzzle master behind them, and his name is Thomas Snyder. He's a 3-time World Sudoku champion, as well as a 9-time US Puzzle Championship winner. Thomas, I'm so sorry to have thrown any dirt on your name. Please accept my connection request on LinkedIn. I really have been playing almost every single one of your games nonstop for a month. Well, almost a month, because I have some regrettable news. I was in Italy during this month, as you know, and on day 22 I flew back home to the United States. Except my flight ended up getting stuck in Germany along the way. That was fun. I got to explore what felt like Hogwarts in Munich. In those 24 hours, amidst my jet lag and my spontaneous exploration of Germany, I hadn't looked at a single zip or minute cryptic or connections, meaning I had lost every single one of my hard-earned streaks. In my scientific research, this was a devastating setback. Who even am I without my 20-day LinkedIn zip streak? Do you think my connections missed me when they looked to the leaderboard and saw my name gone from its ranks? The LinkedIn games really did have a special place in my heart during this challenge, because for some reason, LinkedIn began to notify random people I was connected with about how often and frequently I was playing these games. Really, really good stuff for an app that's connected to every single one of my past employers. But on the bright side, these notifications did get some of my friends to join me in playing these LinkedIn games. It was motivating to stand in solidarity like this among my peers. Because like I said earlier, some of these games were pretty difficult. A game of Tango can easily run you upwards of 10 minutes. But never in a million years did I expect the game that would give me the most trouble during this failed month was Wordle. Wordle is very straightforward. You are trying to guess a 5-letter word. A green letter is in the right spot and it's in the word. A yellow letter exists in the word but is not in the right spot. And then a gray letter is not in the word. But I, frankly, shouldn't even know this because, guys, every single time I played this game, I would be playing it in monochrome until probably turn number 3. Recording myself playing the Wordle in public is already one thing, but recording myself absolutely bombing it is another. Thankfully, there is an alternative Wordle game out there for anyone like me who luck does not favor, and it's called Horsel. This one is a breath of fresh air, you know, it's reliable and predictable, and the word is always horse.
Oh wait, I'm second guessing now.
Yeah. This is difficult. I don't know if you're gonna get it.
Let's go.
There's actually an entire community of games inspired by Wordle that I'm gonna call Wordle-likes, and they kind of act as parodies of the original game. So there's the Octordle, which is like Wordle, but you're playing 8 of them simultaneously at the same time. My worst nightmare, as you can guess. Or, well, it would be if it weren't for the existence of the duo trigwordle, which is 32 games of Wordle at the same time. Then there's the nerdle, which is like Wordle, but you're putting together a math equation. Doesn't that sound like so much fun? Can't forget about the global. You enter in names of countries and then it shows you how hot or cold you are from the hidden target country. This one's actually pretty fun for me because I was one of those kids in middle school who just decided to memorize all the countries of the world for some reason. So I was actually pretty thrilled to get to put my skills into motion here. I certainly did not require myself to do all of the Wordle variants every day because there's really no need to kick a dog when it's already down. But it was cool to see all these different games and it was ultimately very inspiring. Because if you remember correctly, the whole reason I was doing this month of puzzle game after puzzle game was to eventually develop my very own corporate Puzzleslop game. And after 21 days of hard, unrelenting work on these puzzles, an adventure that spanned halfway across the globe, I may not have made it all the way to day 30. My streak may have died on the cold soil of Munich, Germany. But I developed a profound understanding of what an ideal, flawless puzzle game could look like. So today, I have created that very thing for you, and I call it the juniperdle. The juniperdle is a 7-letter game of Wordle, but there's only one valid word, and I'll let you guess what that might be. Every time you enter a letter, not only will the keyboard randomize the order of all the letters, which also includes some numbers, but you will get a pop-up featuring a new, different puzzle game. The answer to these puzzles are also incredibly complex and unique. One of these pop-up games is a game of connections. It was really important to me to stay true to the authentic connections experience, so I chose the categories by putting a bunch of words in a hat and then randomly selecting them. This really just makes sure that it's a fair experience and nobody has like a leg up. Except for me, of course, because there's only one combination of the categories. But eventually you'll run into the Juniper crossword, or the Juniper strands, and a few others that I won't spoil in case you want to experience the juniperdle for yourself, for free, of course, just in the link in the description. When I was designing this puzzle game, of all puzzle games, the alpha, you know, I did find myself appreciating puzzle game design a lot more than I had when I started this month in Italy. These physical games, like physical crossword games in the newspaper, are just part of the evolution of modern video games. There's a reason why my university requires you to take a physical board game design class before you take a game development class, because so many of the things that make a video game fun can be boiled down to a refined and thoughtful structure of rules. Whether those rules are very explicit in the case of a puzzle game, or more hidden, as it stands for deeply immersive video games. But all that to say, I'm now back in the United States, and my friends and I still play Zip and Patches every day. You should play the juniperdle, or consider joining the very serious JuniperDev Game Jam happening June 19th, coming right up. But no matter what, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!